Good morning. Welcome to Friday's live update in terms of the markets. Let's see what we've got to trade this morning, if anything. Right, before I get cracking on there, just a reminder, I won't be around for the next 2 weeks, so I'll be back around about the 11th, I think it is. So I wish you 2 weeks of good trading. Right, let's get on and do this analysis. So first things first, news-wise, PMI data came out yesterday. Let me just what's going on there? What's it? Oh, there's S&Ps. It's alright. Let's update this. Let's get rid of that. Right. So PMI data came out yesterday. It was neither there, here or there overall. The European figure, the big number, if you like, that no one looks at, came out slightly better, but the individual numbers were pretty much in line. Still a lot of sub 50s, which is suggesting it's still a contracting market. There's a bit of expansion in services. Services have picked up half decently for the Germany, and to be fair, their manufacturing data, whilst it's still contracting, is a lot better than the 30s it was in before. So it's overall gradually picked itself back up there and looking a bit more rosy, I suppose. But when you compare it to how bad it was, it's going to get better, isn't it? Anyway, moving on. UK data came slightly less on the services data. This is still okay. The manufacturing is slightly better, so a bit of a mixed bag out of the two of them, but still growing services, but not to the extent it was expected. The US data later, that came out later there, manufacturing figure. Services came out well above expectation. Manufacturing's gone into contraction, and quite a disappointing miss there for the dollar. Right, okay, today then, things to watch out for. Retail sales are already out. They came out worse than expected. These are not good numbers when they're so low at this time of year. German business climate later. The big one is the core durable goods and etc. None of these numbers really move the markets too much. I wouldn't be too fussed with any of those. So let's have a look at what's going on with the technicals. Get cracking. So first things first, looking at the Euro dollar daily wise, trend is still there to the upside. If the opportunities are there, the trend's there. A bit mucky yesterday, never really did too much at all. In fact, it was looking like we might have got something decent there yesterday morning, but it went into the afternoon, broke down, didn't fancy that. News helped it later, but yeah, bit of a mess, and as it stands at the moment, not looking too pretty. So we'll see. Pound dollar again, never triggered the upside here. Let's just look at the overall picture. In fact, you've got to be a bit careful on this pound. I'm still sort of erring towards the upside, but looking at what's happening here, it's still challenging this major trend line here, and well, a break below that in the coming week won't be too great. We'll see. It's got potential where it sits at the moment to push back up, but it's already into its S1. It's got support of a 2 series of pivots, which might just give it an opportunity, but personally I don't really fancy this. It's yeah, a bit ugly as it stands at the moment, so it's not on my list. Okay, US likes the US dollar yen. So I'm running through all the majors, as I always do run through the majors. US dollar yen, quite mucky. Looking potentially from here the upside, but in fact, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag again overall. Looking back at the dailies here, it's got this erring towards the upside, and it's sort of got a solid bounce yesterday. This morning, it's running. When you look at it, it's running into its 4-hourly 34, etc. Maybe it'll foul back, but I don't really like it. There's better things out there, but probably best to leave it. The Aussie dollar. Again, it's not really doing anything that I can do too much to. Possibly, well, I don't like it. No, leave that alone. US dollar CAD, probably a continuation to the upside, but its bigger picture is still quite bearish on the dollar's perspective. It has run into this 4-hourly 200, but not a massive reaction so far. We'll see if that changes this morning, but it's not for me at the moment where it's sitting. It's already hit the R1, possible. Well, actually, if it breaks back above the R1 there's the potential of the R2 is pretty decent. New Zealand dollar, really similar to the Aussie dollar, not giving us a lot of, well, a bit more positivity off the 4-hourly there, but looks ugly on the hourlies, so not at all looking good. Swissy was one that I was looking for yesterday. It never broke down and continued, and it's looking quite a mess at the moment, so I'll leave that. Euro yen did get into yesterday. There was all the numbers yesterday I'd left on for the traders in the room. That did actually go up on hit the target, everything. That would have been a 1.3. I have to confess, on the news, I closed off on the news on a 1-to-1 instead of 1.3-to-1, so I was trying to outperform the numbers. Didn't work. It went off and hit the target anyway. It is setting up at the moment for a pivot swing in here. It is setting up. I wouldn't be taking the trade before. If it does trigger beyond the highs there, I would not be taking it beyond before probably 8.15. If it triggers before 8.15, it's more likely to fail. So big difference on this, but it is setting up quite nicely there for potential continuation here. So post 8.15, I'll take it. Look in terms of risk of a 1.3 return, and you could be okay on it. Right. Side of that, there's not a great deal here. Aussie CAD, a lot of these cross pairs I was looking at yesterday, just not coming to anything and looking quite ugly. So I'll zoom into gold, as I always look at gold for you. Gold has continued to fail a little bit here. It was looking all very rosy on Tuesday, Wednesday, then it's rolled and properly rolled here now. Actually, it's Wednesday it started failing, wasn't it? Wednesday it started failing. Yesterday it just looked soft. It still looks soft at the moment, so just coming off slightly stronger dollar, obviously helping the case for the price coming off here, but and not really a trade I want to be looking at there. Oil, one day I'll trade this again. It's such a ugly scene. Actually, let's just do that. That's it. See better what's happening. So we're on the underside of the weekly pivot at the moment. Now a correction later on to the downside. I'd have been normally looking for a bit of a swing, but it is Friday and it is well, I'm going on holiday. And I won't be trading whilst away. Quite a messy old situation here, but we could see a failure there. It's an untouched daily pivot at the moment, but it has hit the R1, so the probability of that untouched pivot is not so good. Normally 75%, 80% chance of these pivots being hit, but once it's hit that, it cuts it down to about 20%. The overall technicalities of this, though, well, as I said, it'd be well worth waiting for, see if we get a bit more reaction to the underside of the weekly pivot there if you're looking to trade it. But it is, as I say, Friday, and lots of reasons why not to, probably. S&Ps, should we put some new highs in today, do you reckon? Already has. Yeah. Yesterday, what a little minuscule day of trading there. This to me shows all the signs of not really a lot of belief in what's happening, but it is probably a shock of what's happening that it carries on to make new highs, new highs, new highs. But there we are. That's what it's doing. looking a bit ugly at the moment. It's not a market I'd short. If anything, if there's anything that looks pretty on towards the upside, I'd look for the long side. There isn't at the moment. It may come in. I prefer to trade it in the afternoons when the cash market's open. The FTSE again, new all-time highs yesterday, and it probably was going to do the same again today. I think BT was. My son come in telling me how much his BT had gone up. That's the big mover yesterday. Anyway, chopping horrible today, not particularly great. But potential with the breakout there to the upside there. Just ugly, just chopping through. That's ugly for you. Knows how to do ugly quite well sometimes. The DAX again is a bit more iffy. It did push up a couple of days ago towards making. I thought yesterday would have seen a new all-time high, but it's failed. Just and then look at that. Its lower highs come through this morning. It just looks like, well, it could be doing yet again another run down towards these prior lows at this stage. Really does look soft in all pictures. Okay, I'll leave it there. Right, I wish you a good day's trading. As I said, I'll be away for a couple of weeks. Be back on around about the 11th. Have a great time. Bye for now.